was flood in that region, and the whole human settlement there got washed out. There was an oasis there. The Indian Ocean spills in through the Gulf and washes that whole place out. That's the flood account.
Right.
So I'm saying as a Christian that when the Genesis chapter 2 account speaks of the 4 rivers, 2 we know today, Tigris, Euphrates. The Pishon, Gihon rivers were discovered in the 90s through ground penetrating radar.
Okay.
The Wadi al-Batin river and the other river that goes into the Armenian range. But the Quran is silent. Now here's what I find.
No, wait. You're a little bit worried. I'm going to challenge what you said. Wait. Stick on the topic. The topic is we know. Carry on with we know, because you haven't provided evidence yet.
1 second.
You haven't provided evidence
yet.
You haven't provided evidence
about
yet.
The Quran.
Okay, wait a minute. Did you notice how he said we know? Did you hear him say that? We know. And now he wants to talk about the... What I'm not going to do is let him get away with the slip of tongue. He said we know.
This is about the Quran.
He said we know. Yet he spoke for 5 minutes and he didn't give a shred of evidence for why we know. So I'm going to give you another chance. What do we know and what's the evidence for it?
So, with respect to the Quran.
Again?
The Quran
did you see that?
Is silent.
Did you see that?
As acknowledged by Adnan.
To be fair.
Well, let's give from the Quran.
Do you see why he's worried? Why he's worried?
Geographical point.
Why is he worried?
So that we can
Why is he worried?
a comparison.
No, you're talking over me
So
now.
allow me to finish my point.
Yes, you will. You
No,
will.
okay. He's worried.
All right.
Look,
I'm not worried.
This is a sign of a worried person.
No, I'm not.
Because he said, we know,
See?
and then he changed to the Quran.
Okay.
He changed to the Quran.
It's unnatural for me to raise my
I
voice.
let him speak for 5 minutes.
All right.
And he hasn't made any shred of evidence in his favor.
Wait. We started the conversation. You said you're a scientist, you're not a theologian. No problem. Then you brought... Wait. When you started...
You acknowledge that.
Wait, relax.
Yes.
Then you brought in science. And then you said, we know.
Yes.
Wait, hold on. You said, we know.
Yes.
Then came the scientist. We have a scientist.
Yes.
He's asking you, what do you know? And what is the evidence? Can you now explain?
The out of Africa model is the current consensus among paleontologists and anthropologists.
Okay.
I'm in the field of astronomy.
Okay.
That is not particularly my field.
Okay.
If that is your field,
one sec.
if that is your field, all well and good. But I can assure you that what the consensus is that humans come from Africa. The Human Genome Project even demonstrates that in 2010. And with respect to the Quran, the acknowledgement in regards to the geography, like the location and so on. So in comparison, what I'm saying is, how interesting the Quran names specifically the mountain for which Noah's Ark lands, Mount Kudi, but it does not give the location for where Adam lands and where human migrations go and so on.
Right.
Like, where is Abraham located?
Right now,
where is Moses located?
Okay. Can I respond now?
What era?
Okay, can I respond now?
The Quran is silent on all these details.
Okay.
But yet it picks and chooses to say things like Mount Kudi from the Noah's Ark.
I know you really want to talk about the Quran. Justify what you said previously about we know. So let me just explain to you what knowledge is. Knowledge, I'm going to define as this in these following 3 parts. True justified belief. Do you agree with that definition?
True justified belief. That's a little bit oxymoronic, but
that is the definition of Aristotle, and that definition has been used for over 2,000 years. Oxymoronic, how is it oxymoronic? Go ahead and explain to me.
How do you apply belief in science?
Okay, so that's a separate question about epistemology. Do you see what's happening now? You said we know. I heard you say we know. That's why I interrupted the conversation. And since we interrupted the conversation, you want to talk about something else. But let's go back to what we know. So you're saying you know when Adam existed.
All right.
Where did he exist?
Okay. I would argue that Adam...
No, you would argue. You said you know.
I would argue...
Okay.
Don't worry.
I would argue that Adam is not the first man. I would argue that if I'm looking at the Genesis account chronologically, you have a placement of the humans in chapter 1 to the east. I would say that personage are located in the Persian Gulf because of the very specific 4 rivers mentioned there. Geographically, anthropologists will say that also comports with the cultural memory of the ancient Near East, that you have what's called the Adapa myth and so on, and they all correspond to that location. Prior to that, we have into what's called a out of Africa model, and the fossil evidence shows a monogenesis of humans, not a polygenesis of humans.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't categorically. That is an assumption. Give me the evidence for that, because the more I'm hearing you talk, I can see you have surface level knowledge of this. You're saying they originated, and we know they only originated in one location. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
No, that was not evidence. That was a model. What is the evidence that that is the only? What is the evidence that that's the only origin? No, wait a second. You're the one who claims we know.
What other models are there?
Look how long. And when I'm responding to you,
okay, then
no.
Then give
because look, this is a standard way that evolutionists respond to their critique. They say, what is your model, when I'm questioning them about the model that they have? I'm not the one who claimed to have a model. I'm the one who challenged the model that you have. Now, the other claim that you made, which I think is completely absurd, you said Adam is not the first man.
Yes.
That goes against the account of creation.
No, it does not.
Yes, it does.
No, it does not.
Now he's going against the Bible. He's saying Adam's not the first man.
No, it does not.
You know, J. Smith would have refuted you there.
J. Smith would have hanged you from the same tree you were just standing on. No, he would have.
No, he wouldn't have.
J. Smith in the 19th century, with his Mormon hat, he would have hanged you if you were in what's the territory? Utah, yeah, in Salt City. His name is, by the way, his name is Joseph Henry Smith. He's named after Joseph Smith.
Yeah. Are you familiar with the medallion of a black man chained up and underneath the slogan, "Am I not a man and a brother"?
Yes, I collect them. I have them.
Excellent.
In my collection.
Do you know who made that?
Who?
Redwood. Connected to Darwin.
Okay.
And Darwin would stamp that on taxes.
Stay here. Now, from science, he is now jumped into history.
No, I have not.
That's why I have to come in the middle now. Wait. He just made a claim that medallion, "Am I not a man and a brother?" Okay, was made by one of the associates of Darwin, Charles Darwin.
No, prior to Darwin, but he used that.
How long?
It's falling apart.
A couple of decades.
Brother, please do not embarrass yourself.
I'm not embarrassed.
No, wait, relax.
Go look it up.
Let me finish.
Darwin used that in his taxes.
Yes, Darwin may have used it, and I'm not talking about that. The medallion, by the way, not to show off my collection.
Trust me, you will never have a peace discussion. Wallah, I said, listen, dogmatic behavior. If you interrupt Mr. We know how to do with that, yeah?
I'm here with Sharaf.
We know how to fix your behavior. Trust me. Fix your behavior, yeah?
Can you go the other way?
Fix your behavior, mister. Fix your behavior, yeah?
So,
relax.
We are in a look at this. We're in a conversation.
I swear.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, brother, please. We not only find these Christian missionaries coming to the park for the last 3-4 decades, we not only find them ignorant about the Bible, they are ignorant about most things in life. They make claims about science, they are false. They make claims about history, they are false. They make claims about Islam, they are false. They make claims about the Bible, they are false. Now, he made a claim, and they're going to send hecklers to disturb me. This is their new tactic. Send hecklers, don't let them speak, so that the truth doesn't come out. But the truth can never be hidden.
Yes.
So the medallion he mentioned, although it's a minor detail, but it's an important point. Why is it important? I want to demonstrate these people, with due respect, are neither experts on the Bible, nor on science, nor on history, nor on Adnan Rashid. Okay? Okay. So now, this person made a claim that the medallion was introduced or made by an associate of Charles Darwin. I possess these medallions in my personal collection. I'm a coin collector. And they were introduced in the 18th century, almost 100 years before Darwin was born. Okay? Wait. So it's a minor detail, but again, it's an important one. This is to demonstrate these people, just like he walked away from the Bible, and then he walked away from science when Suboor came in, and now he's walking.
Okay, so I just want to add something. The reason that Darwin was against slavery, that's why he mentioned it.
Against slavery and racism.
And racism. Yes. But that is not true, and I'm going to refer. We have Darwin being responsible for the most heinous racism that ever existed. There is a historian by the name Richard Whitehart, and he wrote a book from Darwin to Hitler. And in that book, he justified that there is a historical social Darwinism and what the Nazis did. Likewise, the Zionist historian Yuval Noah Harari, in his book *Sapiens*, he speaks about the fact that Darwinism led to what the Nazis were doing. And again, what do we find? We find Darwin, my friend. Brother, please stop. You are a black man. Darwin is calling you. Darwin was a racist. Darwin was a racist. Wait, one second. Racist. I am attacking Darwin, and he is defending Darwin.
What they're doing is,
as a black man.
Be quiet. Be quiet. 2 for 1.
All right, can I reply?
No, wait.
Darwin.
Wait.
Darwin should never be defended by black people. Darwin should never be defended.
Now, wait. When you see these people are not sincere. When he mentioned the term black man, they started screaming and shouting. And they don't want to listen to his point. His point was that to Darwin, you are savages. That was the point.
And you're defending Darwin.
So now we're gonna ignore these shills.
Okay.
I would like to make a
Okay. Before you do that, what's your name again?
Robert.
I spoke to Robert on a live stream a few years ago, and I remember him clearly. Robert is mentioning Darwin with the intention to show that Darwin cared about black people or cared about slaves. Darwin was a racist.
No, he was not.
Darwin would consider you to be a savage,
he was not.
and you to be a savage, and for me to be a savage. Darwin wrote in The Descent of Man. I want to say something.
Come back here.
Darwin wrote in The Descent of Man.
You don't need to shout.
He wrote that the white people are the most superior. And he justified colonialism.
Yes.
Colonialism.
And the colonials.
I am shocked.
The colonials.
I am shocked that people of color are willing to defend Darwin.
Okay, I'm gonna wait. Now for a Christian to bring up Darwin in this conversation
Let me also give a
shows,
response.
yes, you will. 1 second. Shows how ignorant he is about Darwin. Charles Darwin was not only a racist. Charles Darwin was used by colonial powers to subdue,
Yes,
to massacre,
yes,
to kill,
yes,
to genocide
yeah,
non-white races in Africa,
yes,
in Asia,
yes,
and in Latin America.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Darwin's theory was used to claim white superiority over non-white races. This is very visibly put down in his book, Descent of Man. That Darwin said in Descent of Man that white race is more developed than the non-white races. He was trying to scientifically justify racism which the colonial powers used and which basically, and all these Christians, missionaries here, they are all a product of colonialism. All of these Christian missionaries, every single one of them, all Christian missionaries are a product, and we are still fighting an intellectual battle against these people. These proponents of racism, colonialism, and they still hold on to these values. This guy just mentioned Darwin as if he's some noble character.
Absolutely. One last thing I want to mention. One last thing I want to mention.
I would like to get
in this book, Darwin's Sacred Cause, written by Moore and Desmond. Here's what he says. Here's what academics are saying. Academics are saying about this. This book is, here's what it says. Colonial eradication. Darwin was making racial extinction an inevitable evolutionary consequence. So what we have here is this.
They can make as much noise as possible. They are disturbed. They are actually disturbed that they are getting smashed. These Christian missionaries are getting smashed, and they are getting disturbed now. So we want to put a case forward so that he can respond to it. Okay, so now you can respond. Now he's gonna.
Every Christian come here. Pastors, priests,
We are ignoring them. Let them be ignored.
All right.
That's why Jesus calls them dogs and swines.
We're not going to be bullied by noise. We're not going to be bullied by noise. We're the last people you can bully.
Here's something for your thing to see. Anybody wants to watch? This is what Darwin thought of you, right there. This is what Darwin thought.
All right.
This is a picture endorsed by Darwin.
I know. I'm aware of that.
There you go. Now, for your audience.
I recommend everyone get yourself a book. It's an Oxford publication book in 2000 by Desmond and Moore. These two particular individuals are the world-renowned historians on Darwin's life. They keep discovering letters and correspondences that Darwin had. Now, what's interesting is that Darwin used Act 1726, are we not all of one blood, to show that there's a monogenesis between blacks and whites. That's why he went on the voyage to look for a variation of the same species of bird.
Where did he go? On the voyage?
Despite the variation.
Where did he go?
Despite the variation.
Where did he go?
Despite the variation.
Where did he go?
That doesn't matter.
Wait, 1 second.
That does not
He's
matter.
talking about Darwin, and he doesn't know where Darwin went.
That does not matter.
There is a point in this. It is important.
Okay, wait 1 second.
That does not matter.
Let him speak. We want this guy to speak more so that we have more. So we have more.
You have nothing. So there's a book called, it's the standard now, it's called Darwin's Sacred Cause. The Sacred Cause is because he was influenced by the Genesis account about the unity of mankind regardless of race and color. And now here's the irony. At Darwin's home, he had a beautiful big oak tree. In celebration of his death, a few years after his death, black men could become bishops of a church, and they acknowledged, because of Darwin, that they had the freedom to be Christian bishops, and also they could experience education. And people like Dave and Avery are doing a wonderful job demonstrating that they have the same intelligence as white men.
Okay, are you done?
That's Darwin's argument.
Are you done?
That's what the book argues for. And other scholars like Joshua Moretz, which is what I was going to quote from, argue for that.
Okay. Thank you.
Now the Quran says...
Okay, wait, let me respond to that point.
Yeah, no problem. Don't worry. The Quran says...
So the Quran...
Wait. Can you be quiet? We don't need you. We don't need you.
So,
Get out. Wait.
so now, in regards to Islam and the Quran,
This guy's bitter because we refuse to talk to him.
Okay,
So
go
he's
on,
bitter now.
so in regards to Islam and the Quran, you believe that Adam is 60 cubits or 60 foot
Don't worry, you continue your claim.
or something like that?
You continue your claim.
All of these are borrowed tales from the Midrash and the Genesis Rabbah and the life of Adam and Eve, Iblis prostrating and so on. The Quran is plagiarizing legends. And that's why the Quran is A, scientific and A, historical. That was my point with Jay Smith.
Okay,
You're
fine,
done?
fine,
Okay,
fine.
brilliant.
Let me use. Okay, okay. So you used a book called Darwin's Sacred Cause by
Are you listening?
Adrian
Are you
Desmond.
So he the scholar make a claim about Darwin. He's going to read from the same scholar. Listen to what he has to say.
Page 149 to 150. By biologizing colonial eradication, Darwin was making racial extinction an inevitable evolutionary consequence. What he doesn't want to do is tell you the truth about Darwin's racist nature. He wants to cherry pick. Now, something I want to say, even Richard Dawkins agrees that Charles Darwin had racist ideas. And Richard Dawkins is a proponent of Darwinism. Now, I want to make one picture very clear. This is a picture which I used. Darwin believed in the racial hierarchy of man. He believed white people were the most superior, black people were the most inferior, and Asians and other races, they're somewhere in between. Heckle. Ernst Haeckel was one of Darwin's contemporaries, and he drew a picture of human beings, with the Caucasians being at the top and slowly turning into Native Americans, Indians, Chinese, Japanese. Black people, according to Ernst Haeckel, were the closest to the most least evolved and developed, and the ones with the least cognitive faculties. Ernst Haeckel actually made an image. He actually made an image for race, this biological race that he wanted to show. Darwin actually acknowledged that this race, this chart, is actually something good. He actually referred to it as something good. And in that chart, what you find is white people are right at the top, and right at the bottom are black people. On top of that, Darwin used a colonial argument which he wants to run away from. Darwin said, an evidence that white superior, and especially white UK people, British people, Victorian British people are superior is because they are the best at colonization. What he wants to run away from, what he wants to run away from as well is this. According to Darwin, that man there and me are inferior savages, and he, who is a Caucasian, is superior. Now, I have one last thing to say.
Yeah.
And I would like to...
Is it,
Yeah, you can.
is it a coincidence that Darwin and yourself happen to be of the same race, which according to theory happen to be the most evolved? Is it just a coincidence that those who claim to be correct in the theory are also claiming their race is the most superior? This is why black people, Asian people, Japanese people, Chinese people, Indian people faced racism for decades because of Darwin's theory, and that is a part of history that he wants to whitewash.
And before you come in, very quickly, I was just now, ladies and gentlemen, we heard that Darwin was forces used by colonial power to subdue, to brutalize and enslave non-white races in Africa and in Asia and in Latin America. Okay, the reason why I asked him where did Darwin go on his voyage, and he didn't have an answer because he doesn't know, is because when he mentioned the black people with the voyage, there is no connection, because Darwin went to Ecuador. In Ecuador, They were Native Americans, not blacks. That was an important detail I wanted to mention. So this person is clearly arguing with us ignorantly. He doesn't know the details. On top of that, racism. He's saying black people can now be ministers of churches. They can preach. Since when? Since when is the question? Who brutalized the black people? For 400 years in the name of the Bible, they're not going to let me speak because they are intellectually enslaved. They are intellectually enslaved. They are not going to let me speak. Let me tell you the history. The white people, Europeans, and Americans. Let me teach you history now. Let me teach you some history of slavery and how.
Like a long while. Have a long.
I will not stop. I will not stop. Keep shouting. I will not stop. So now I will have to finish before Rob comes in.
I'm watching here. I'm
Okay.
watching the misbehavior.
Now they don't want to hear this. They don't want to. This is antiseptic.
I'm standing here.
This is antiseptic. Now
Relax your mind. Listen and learn.
he had an audacity. This white man standing here had an audacity to claim that we made the black people pastors and preachers and they can preach in the church. Wait. For 400 years. For 400 years, Europeans, the French, the Dutch, the Portuguese, the British were picking up Africans for 400 years. They were taking them, they were putting them into slavery, brutalizing them. Wait, relax. I know this is antiseptic. Guys, what I am saying is antiseptic. It hurts. Even these guys is hurting them. Even though, wait, don't argue, brother, don't argue with them. Please, you're disturbed. Let me talk. Yeah, I'm doing the talking for you. Wait, yeah. Okay,
Can I
wait,
talk now?
don't engage with them. That's what they want.
This has been
Brother,
10 minutes.
don't engage with them.
10 minutes of transpired.
I'm finishing, you're going to come in.
I
promise.
I will have a
We will,
one.
absolutely.
Okay.
You will speak.
All right.
Yeah, like, now,
Don't forget I'm a guest here in the UK.
Okay, no problem. So Rob, who is from Australia, I want to see when was the last time he stood up for the rights of the Aboriginals, the black Aboriginals of Australia. Wait. I want to see when he did a public campaign for the rights of the Aborigines who are being brutalized to this day in ghettos, drugged up, being killed by alcoholism and deprived of their basic rights. The land belongs to them. Rob and his ancestors stole that land from the blacks by using Darwin's theory.
Adnan.
By using Darwin's theory.
Wait.
Now, Rob, you come.
Wait, Adnan. Adnan, are you from India?
I am from Pakistan.
Okay, I'm from Hyderabad.
Okay.
So I'm not connected to the whole cause of the
Are you not Australian?
No. I'm from Hyderabad.
Are you not white?
No, I'm from Hyderabad.
Are you not white?
No.
Maybe I'm colorblind.
Are you saying that because he looks
He's white.
I am Indian.
You are ethnically Indian. Your ancestors are
My
white.
mom's parents.
What's your name? Your full name?
Adnan. He just said
Robert.
that because he looks
Robert. His name is Robert Patel. Is it Robert Patel?
No, he said Robert Rowe.
Robert Rowe. Yeah. Are you? Wait, guys, don't make noise. Don't make noise. The guy's talking to you. Relax. I want to find out if this is Robert Singh, Robert Patel, Robert Khan. What are you?
I'm a Robert Rowe.
So okay. So what background do you come
So
from?
I'm an Anglo-Indian.
Anglo-Indian. Brilliant.
we get it now.
But I have nothing to do with the Aboriginal cause.
Okay.
Okay, no problem.
Okay.
But you live in Australia.
I currently live in Australia.
Since when?
since 97.
You were born where?
In Hyderabad.
Hyderabad. Okay. So
I still make biryani.
so do you agree? Okay, no. Fine. No, fine. Do you agree? Do you agree on record, on camera, the Aborigines have been brutalized by or through Darwin's theory? We have evidence. We're going to show you the evidence that the white people.
This is not even connected to the Quran and Islam and all that.
Well, you started
Let
it.
me
You started
give
it.
my response.
Give your response.
Let me give my response.
I used this picture twice.
Okay.
Today we have some. Today.
He has this picture to explain.
All right. All right.
This is
my response.
Darwin's chart.
You ready?
Darwin's chart.
You ready?
Yeah.
Here's my response.
Uninterrupted. Go ahead. We are fair.
He misquoted Desmond and Moore's Darwin's Sacred Cause book. I have written a summary about this through a friend of mine called Joshua M. Moretz.
Okay.
He is a science historian along with another science academic, an Australian academic called Peter Harrison. Forefront of the modern scientific revolution. Now, what I'm going to, because you've spoken both at length, this is only 1 page in length.
No problem.
I'm going to read this out as a summary of the key points of the book, and you can make your own conclusion. So, in the context of the abolitionist faith in the Adamic unity of humanity and the roots of Darwinian evolution, Moretz and I summarize the book in this way.
So this is you writing.
With Moretz.
Yes?
Yes.
So you're quoting yourself. So he's quoting himself in a debate against us.
It is part of the argument. It is part of the argument.
Continue.
This is a 2015 paper.
Listen, if he's going to read Harry Potter to me, you want me to be quiet?
All right.
1 minute, 40 seconds, maybe.
So, here we go. There's two contexts here. The abolitionist faith, and then specifically about the changing scientific tide for a unity of the humans. So, here we go. The central faith assumption and philosophical presupposition that inspired and motivated Darwin's scientific work was a concept of the unity of humanity. This view, called monogenism, affirmed that all present human diversity stemmed from a common source and that all races were historically united in a single, quote, this is Darwin's language, brotherhood of man. From the start, Darwin was transfixed by the idea of human unity as it related to the question of human origins. From where did Darwin's unwavering belief in the unity of humanity derive? The notion of human unity, along with the corresponding rejection of slavery, was a key element of Darwin's family heritage. Darwin grew up within a family that was deeply committed to abolish slavery, which was led by...
No, continue. Let him continue. Please continue.
Which was led by evangelical Christians such as William Wilberforce and Thomas Clarkson. Work in particular was supported and financed by Darwin's grandfather, Josiah Wedgwood. Indeed, Wedgwood himself designed the official seal of the abolitionist movement, an image depicting an African slave on one knee, shackled hand and foot, with eyes and hands pointing heavenward, pleading, "Am I not a man and a brother?" To help promote the cause, Wedgwood produced thousands of copies of the seal on pottery and on ceramic medallions at his own expense for distribution throughout British and American society. Quote, this is in the book, "Belief in Adam as the father of mankind was solid and the theological premise of anti-slavery," unquote. And this central faith-inspired conviction was firmly anchored in the worldview of young Charles. Quote, "Adamic unity and the brotherhood of man were axiomatic in the anti-slavery tracts that he and his family devoured and distributed. It implied a single origin for black and white, a shared ancestry." Now, here's the conclusion of this paper. At the time when Darwin was conducting his research, which is what I was getting at a moment ago, the notion of monogenism, as opposed to polygenism, was almost as scientifically controversial as the concept of evolution. Monogenists were typically religiously devout abolitionists and evangelical Christians who upheld a single. In the opinion of the scientific establishment of the day, monogenesis was tainted as antiquated religious dogma by the atheists, mind you. Consequently, the anthropological authorities of the mid-19th century caricatured the notion of human unity in a common ancestor and widely dismissed it as myth. The alternative to monogenism that was in vogue among anthropologists and biologists at the time was a view called polygenism, which is why Darwin had that particular wording that you were citing as part of his discussion in refuting it. Polygenists held that various human races were in reality different species with separate origins that never converged upon a common ancestor and perhaps even went back eternally. In Darwin's day, it was broadly understood that, quote from the book, modern science supported polygenesis and that empirically objective,
Allahu Akbar,
dispassionate and fearless exegesis of the rocks and tombs ultimately pointed to a separate black and white ancestry. Now here's where the rubber hits the road. When Darwin thus enlisted his keen scientific mind to the aid of the monogenesis cause, he was going deeply against the scientific tide of his day. Darwin's quote, the unity hypothesis was an article of faith for Darwinites, a dogma as unfounded as the parson's belief in Adam and Eve, as per the atheist charge that there was no Adam and Eve. As Darwin developed his views on evolution from a common ancestor, he offered traditional scriptural monogenesis, quote, a deeper unity, a more humble theology, and more spectacular evolutionary grandeur. Now, is it published? It's published. Now, in conclusion, an atheist biologist by the name of Edward O. Wilson, his reaction to Darwin's work is this. It's a short quote. So Edward O. Wilson, by the way, he's even more famous than, let's say, Richard Dawkins. The great naturalist did not abandon Abrahamic and other religious dogma because of his discovery of evolution by natural selection, as one might reasonably suppose. The reverse occurred. The shedding of blind faith gave him the intellectual fearlessness to explore human evolution wherever logic and evidence took him. So here's an atheist biologist saying that Darwin agreed with the Abrahamic faith, in this case, the unity of humanity. And he was fearless about it because he was going against the tide of the racism of his day. Otherwise, why would he be fearless?
Okay.
If he was part of the same
So what's your...
right.
Yeah,
Okay,
you're done?
no,
You're
wait.
finished?
Can I just
That's
get...
a summary of the book.
Okay, fine.
good.
Do you
Thank
agree
you.
this is monogenesis?
No, that's polygenesis.
With this picture. This is actually a picture of Ernst
You're
Haeckel.
showing me a stock image.
No, this is Ernst. Anybody can check this out. Anybody can... Okay, 1 second. 1 second. Wait. I'm gonna let you respond. Okay, 1 second. 1 second. This is monogenesis. The reason why this is monogenesis is because
They can't support a losing debate.
there is one origin of man. There is one origin of man. Secondly, he said something about the same book, and he didn't actually refer to the points I made earlier. When I referred to Richard Weikart from Darwin to Hitler, when I referred to Darwin's own writing, The Descent of Man, in the very same book, on the very same page that I was quoting from, it further on goes and says, thus it was, whenever the European has trod, death seems to pursue the aboriginal. Europeans were the agents of evolution. So let's not pretend Darwinism has nothing to do with the when there are many, many historians who've referred to this. Now, I gave two examples and I'll reiterate them because they're popular books. Sapiens by Yuval Noah Harari, the Zionist historian, and also Richard Weikart's book From Darwin to Hitler. Now, what he said is true. What's your name again?
Robert.
What Robert said is 100% Darwin refuted polygenesis.
Well,
I agree with you.
Hey.
However,
Yeah.
he moved from one racist camp to another.
What?
Because he refuted polygenesis to go to monogenesis, but in his monogenesis model, humans evolved in a way that the chimpanzees and the primates were closer to black people than they were to Caucasians. And that is a fact that he lied by omission. So the fact that you find amongst Darwinists is this: they will give you part of the history without giving you the full picture. Now, I want you to stick to this point. Darwin refuted polygenesis, and the picture I showed you that was made by Ernst Heckle is a picture that Darwin himself endorsed. So let's stick to that point. Monogenesis model of Darwinism is still a racist model. Carry on.
Exactly. So
Carry on.
Add a small caveat, and you can come back.
Can you connect this to the Islamic view of anthropology? Like, why was Adam so tall and all that?
Yeah, we're going to come to that. I'm going to respond to that very quickly.
Okay.
So clearly, Rob has presented his case. He read from his paper, which has been published, but clearly he's missing out facts that were clarified by Suboor. That Darwin, even though he jumped from polygenesis to monogenesis, he was still a racist. He was still not the noble man. He was still not the noble man Rob is trying to claim he was. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what did Darwin actually mean if he was a proponent of monogenesis as Rob claimed? What does he actually mean when in Descent of Man, Darwin is saying that white race is more developed? It is more developed than non-white races. Okay, it doesn't matter how you word it. This concept in itself is a racist concept. Darwin gave it the name, the endorsement of science, while previously there were some philosophers of the 18th century who may have held these views without any science backing. Darwin gave racism science backing, and this is the backing. These are the words, these are the ideas that were used by white European colonial powers to Africans, Asians, and Latin Americans. Okay, this is the reality. This is what historians are saying. What Rob read to you, okay, missed out many important facts. Coming to Adam.
Yes.
Adam was created in those dimensions in the heavens.
Okay.
Wait. Be quiet. There is no report that states that when he was on earth, he was those dimensions. That's the answer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so can I add one more thing? Because I want to stick with everything to do with references. Another reference I'm going to give is a study from Sheffield University which showed that Charles Darwin's theory of natural selection justified white male superiority. There is abundance evidence for this in The Descent of Man, and even today with historians like Richard Weikart. So what you're doing is
From Darwin to Hitler.
From Darwin to Hitler by Richard Weikart.
The book, you can go and read it. From Darwin to Hitler. Richard Whiteheart.
But that is not connected to the vast amount of studies that are published, like Robert Livingstone, in regards to the Hitler cause of a misunderstanding of Darwinism, and Desmond and Moore's Darwin Sacred Cause book, and all the others. Now, what I'm interested to know...
In Descent of Man. I have one question.
No, not just Descent of Man.
In Descent of Man, did Darwin say the white race is more developed than the non-white race?
He is quoting the polygenesis in that context.
Okay, so that's not his view.
That's not his view.
In Descent of Man.
That's not his view because Desmond and Moore found letters and correspondences.
Forget that. In the book, in his published book, did he write the white race is more developed?
That That doesn't make it an infallible statement on Darwin's point.
But that's his statement.
No,
Infallible or fallible.
he's quoting, and then he clarifies in later letters that were discovered. And that's the point.
That I was a racist, I'm no more.
That was the point of that particular work that I cited from. Now,
you can speak now. You can speak now.
My question.
You're not helping. You have no contribution here other than disturbance. So get out, please.
I am making sure that you're
You're just being a kid. You're a 10 year. Are you 10 years old? Are you 10?
You're interrupting.
Maybe 7.
You don't have it.
Maybe 7. Maybe the IQ of 7.
Okay. My question is, explain to me as a Muslim. I want to be in your shoes. Obviously, as a Christian and in the science context, but not an anthropologist, I can step into the shoes in that context that I shared a moment ago.
Sure.
Right, about the 4 rivers, all that stuff. I'm interested to know what you would do if you were discussing with, say, a scientist of that particular field.
Yes.
Your model of Adam. You're saying he originally was 60 cubits or 60 feet?
When he was made.
Is it a cubit measurement or
Cubit.
feet? Okay, cubit.
In English, there are which can be cubit. Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
And then you're saying there's a reduction in height, but you don't know the height when he comes on Earth.
No.
Okay. Is there any mechanism that's given as to how that reduction happens?
First of all, we as Muslims do not use science as the last say on our theology, or because by default, right? By outlook, right?
And by the way, just quickly, I want to say this is how we can build bridges.
Yes.
I'm here to build bridges.
Yeah.
Right?
And Christians, Jews, and Muslims believe in the supernatural.
Yes.
Okay? So the question of God, question of miraculous events, question of things happening beyond nature, for example,
Yes.
are not questions of science. Angels are not a question of science. Jinns, miracles, existence is not. Science has nothing to say on God, on miracles, on angels, on supernatural occurrences, or you getting messages in your dreams. For example, a true dream. You have a dream and it transpires. It happens. Science has nothing to say on that. This is not what do you call it?
Can I? Yeah. No. Okay. I understand your point.
Okay.
Can I give an analogy with now coming into my field of research, like say the moon's formation event?
Yeah.
Now,
You can.
as a Muslim, do you believe?
Okay, wait, one second. Before you do that, one thing I do want to say is, before we move into Adam alayhi salam, if we are going to discuss something with somebody who was being fundamentally disingenuous, but did not admit it and wanted to move away, because what you did,
I'm not moving away. I'm staying my ground.
One question, just one question, just one question.
I'm not changing my mind.
Okay, just one question. You defended Darwin rightly so when he refuted the polygenic view of evolution.
And you agree with me.
I agreed.
Yes.
But where I disagreed
he
with you,
agreed that's true.
One second.
Monogenesis model doesn't mean it's.
Yes, it does.
Then the monogenic view you presented as if it means all races are equal, which is not true. And I want to add one more thing. Darwin, in his writings, was a racist. Not only did he support the racial hierarchy, his son here in London was the president of the Eugenics Society. Let me remind everyone what eugenics is. Eugenics is when you take the superior white race and the people with the pure
What
genes
Hitler was doing.
and you kill off. He knows it. Okay, he knows it.
With all due respect,
one
this
second.
is a red herring.
One second.
One second.
One second.
One
second.
It's a misapplication.
My issue with what you've been doing so far is you have been disingenuous and let me just say one thing. You have lied repeatedly by omission.
No.
Because you've said certain things which are correct.
I've been quoting the book.
Because slavery, but it doesn't mean he was not a racist, because he was a racist.
I even quoted an atheist.
He was a racist. And one last thing. Today, as it currently stands, anybody can walk down the road and you will go to. You'll get that very popular book, Sapiens, written by Yuval Noah Harari, And you will see in that book, he admits that there has been a scientific cover-up of the link between Darwin's racism and what Hitler did. And this is what this man is also adding to by lying by omission. Carry on.
Then what I'll do is,
I think we're going to conclude now.
Okay. I'm going to bring up, this is just a point about the future. I'll bring up a panel of anthropologists with Joshua Moritz as the interlocutor, and let's see who agrees with what you have to say.
More than happy.
Okay?
Nice talking.
Wait. No.
Yeah.
Wait, 1 second. When you brought up science, right? Like Islam has nothing about science and so on. And I understand what you mean.
No, I didn't say that.
No. Okay, let me read it.
Hello, wait. Don't read your ideas into my words, please.
You're talking about the supernatural.
Yes.
And science.
There are supernatural claims in the Quran, in the Bible.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Those claims don't need science to support those claims.
Okay, but wait.
Because they are supernatural claims.
Wait. We have what's called in the, let's just say in Christian world, we call it the Book of Nature. Nature as an elegant book. It's it's in the Belgian Confession.
Yeah.
All right. Interestingly, we can actually develop a whole model with respect to how, say, the moon formed. The Earth is 4.56 billion years old. The moon is 4.4 billion years old.
That's science, right?
That's science based on the models to explain
But science has
how the moon forms.
You can never
how there's
explain.
Earth's material on the
You
moon.
can never explain the supernatural by using science.
Wait.
You can never do that.
What I'm saying is,
You can point to it.
what I'm saying is, we live in a very physical world.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
When we go to the moon, we find potentially isotopic evidence of Earth life from Luca on the moon.
We live in a physical world.
Wait. That's not true. That's not true. That's not true.
Experiences.
That's not true. Wait, 1 second. You made a statement which is patently false.
It is true.
You said we have evidence of Luca on the moon.
Yes.
No, we do not.
Yes, we do.
Do you know why? Because we don't even know if there was Luca even existed, or if there's multiple Lucas. We don't know
We
that.
are going back to the moon because there's isotopic evidence
Of Luca.
of a type of Luca on the moon with respect to late heavy bombardment period.
You're going to have to explain this. There's no evidence.
Look it up. Look it up.
Go on.
But with respect to
Wait 1 second.
Wait on. With respect to Theia smacking into proto-Earth and the moon collision event, Earth was once upon a time 2.5 hours per day.
Listen.
All of this
gymnastics.
All
of this scientific
gymnastics.
gymnastics.
It's science.
1 second.
Yes.
It's not science
We
gymnastics.
don't need this to explain theology.
I'm willing to be your student, and I'm going to be quiet. I just want you to justify something. Justify the existence of Luca and Luca's remnants being on the moon, please.
So, we know that life starts just after the moon collision event 4.4 billion years ago. We have what's called the young sunk paradox.
Right.
All right? During that period, you have spikes of potential life. We're talking a prokaryotic sort of type of, I wouldn't call it life, but it's basically the building blocks that are there to bring about prokaryotes. And with respect to bombardments that smack into the Earth in that period, we have models to demonstrate that the moon is close enough with a 2.5-hour rotating Earth that when you have further meteorites hitting the Earth, you have ejection of material that will hit the moon. When we went to the moon, we're noticing Earth soil on the moon, basically. The question is, there's a potential for basically tons of Earth, a type of Luca form of life on the moon. Then our next, you can
You
look this
didn't even
up.
justify what
You
Luca,
can look this
if
up.
Luca existed.
You can look this
You didn't
that they're
justify.
going back to the moon to answer that question.
Okay, do you know what we're going to do? We're going to
I was originally
Before
making
you
a,
justify
I was originally making a point with respect to what you're saying.
Okay, just before that.
No,
but you made a patently false statement.
I am
You made a
going to
patently
finish
false
my
statement.
point. I am.
You got caught
I
out
am
on the
going
Darwin
to
racist
finish
thing.
my point
Now you're going to
in
get caught out
regards
on
to the
Luca.
scientific method
Okay, wait a
of
second.
how we know about things
Wait. You
in
said
natural history.
You said Luca. Do you know what Luca is? Would you like to know? I would like to know. So tell us when Luca existed and how do you know Luca did exist?
I know.
How do you know there's one origin?
I know they attribute a
we
gospel
know
to him.
we can give a specific.
I know they attribute
we
a
can
gospel to
specific-
him.
We can give a specific date, dating date. 3.825 billion years
Listen,
ago.
where we going with
is
this?
the
Where we going with
earliest
this?
that life goes.
Where are we going with this?
Wait, one second.
What I'm saying
One
is,
second.
what I'm saying
One
is,
question.
no, No!
Because he's getting
No!
caught. That's why he's getting caught.
No.
He doesn't know what he's talking about.
I'm sorry. I've been
He
very
doesn't know
patient.
he doesn't know what he's
I've been
talking about.
very
You don't know
patient
what is Luca?
for this whole time.
Okay, wait a second.
What is
let me make a
coming to
statement.
your point
Okay, one
about
statement. Tell me whether I'm
science
right or
and the
wrong.
Quran and in Islam.
There is
too
no
much noise.
evidence.
There's
There
too
is
much
no evidence. There's one origin of life. There could have been
That's not even my
multiple.
point.
There could have been multiple.
My point
What's
is,
your point? Yeah, make
my
your point.
point is,
Yes, yeah.
we're talking about the height of Adam. So, when I said what's the mechanism by which 60 cubits to say an average height of 5,
Those are
6
different
feet.
dimensions.
Okay.
Yeah.
You then said science has nothing to do with the supernatural.
I believe science is by default naturalistic.
Okay.
As
Okay.
as defined today.
Okay.
As defined
So,
today. Yeah.
what I find interesting,
Yeah.
as an atheist before I became a Christian,
Yeah.
and even now in my Christianity,
You need to move a step forward now. Come to Islam, inshallah. Yeah, because
when I
Islam
went
is
into
not
my
gonna help you with that.
Christianity,
Karen, wait one second.
when I went into my Christianity, I appeal to science even more as a glorious thing of God, right? As theists, I think we can acknowledge that science showcases the handiwork of God, the fingerprint of God. That, in other words, our natural world is God's fingerprint.
You don't have anything from God.
Wait, let me finish my point.
What you have is changed, corrupted.
So when we look,
Do you acknowledge that?
when we look
First
through,
of all, as a
when we
Christian,
look-
do you acknowledge that?
When we look through natural history,
You haven't been honest about science.
No,
Let's see if you're
I-
honest about
I-
theology. Do you know the Bible is corrupt? Do you know that?
no, it's not corrupt.
If I show you black and white evidence, then and let's see how much of a scientist you are. I'm going to show him
Oh
scientific
my God.
evidence. I'm going to show him scientific, categorical, empirical evidence that the Bible is corrupt.
Oh.
And if he says, let's see if he says, okay,
No,
no.
Adnan, you said you'll allow me to finish, my
Yeah.
brother.
the Bible is corrupt. What
Let
Christian are
me
you?
finish. All right.
Even Jay Smith agrees with that.
Even Jay Smith agrees with that. You cannot get
So when
worse
you
than that.
have
Even he acknowledges.
in your theology an unscientific claim of Adam going from 60 cubits to what, 6 foot?
Where does science come into
No,
this?
I want
Exactly.
No, okay.
Exactly.
Can I justify that?
In
Can I just?
science,
No,
can I
no,
just-
science.
No, I want to. I want to stick to your. That's what I want to stick to. Because what you.
I won't even go to Abraham and Moses.
That's fine. That's
the
fine.
Pharaoh drowning.
I just want
There's
to.
no
I
evidence
just
for the Pharaoh
okay,
drowning.
okay. I
There's
just.
No evidence
Well,
that your
well,
great grandmother existed.
Okay, one
There's no
second.
evidence.
Well, one second. Rob,
There's
do
no
you
evidence.
agree with me?
Do you have, no,
Do
no,
you-
no, no,
wait,
no,
one
what
second.
do you have evidence?
So what
Show
you're
me
saying
evidence.
is-
Show me evidence.
So what you're saying is
Show me
you're
evidence for your
you're basically deflecting
great grandmother.
and saying
Okay,
that
one
yes,
second.
Rob, there is no evidence.
No. Okay, wait a second. Let's stick to what you're saying. Are you saying the Quran has unscientific claims?
Yes.
Okay. Do you believe for every claim to be correct, it has to be scientific?
It has to comport to natural history, yes.
Okay, so let me make a claim. I believe Jesus, peace be upon him, was born of a virgin. Is that according to you, and when you were an atheist, I can ask you that because you came from that background, is that an unscientific claim?
No.
Okay, good. I don't believe it is. I'll tell you why. Because science, the way it's currently defined, is based upon something known as, you're getting distracted.
This guy's not going to help you.
He's not going to, look.
He's 7 years old.
We're sticking to
He's
your
not gonna
point.
help you.
We're sticking to your point. We're sticking to your point.
I'm listening to what he's saying.
Science is currently based upon something known as methodological naturalism.
Yes.
Do you agree with that?
Yes.
This did not exist before the 19th century. Before the 19th century, methodological naturalism was not there. Okay?
Right.
You referred to Peter Harrison earlier,
Yes.
the historian. I interviewed him a few months ago.
Yes.
Peter Harrison is of the view that this distinction between naturalism and supernaturalism, the way that we're given this false dichotomy is wrong. It's very simplistic.
I agree.
Okay.
In fact, that's what I've written
Okay,
about as well.
so here-
Just quickly, I would argue for a hypernatural view. We should change from supernaturalism, and here's just quickly why. Supernaturalism, ironically, undoes God, regardless of our religion, because in the Greco-Roman superstition, supernaturalism is all about trying to, so the gods basically, like the Greco-Roman gods, to show that they were gods. The hurdle was, ironically, the uniform nature of the laws of nature. So I'm going to try and oppose it or break it.
Yeah.
Ironically, God doesn't need to do that.
Okay, so here's where we
He
agree.
works
Look,
with the
look,
natural
Rob,
laws.
me and you, we both
Yes.
agree
So
with
it's a
Peter Harrison.
hypernatural view.
We both
Yes.
agree with Peter Harrison's view.
Yes.
Okay, now, I'm going to make a particular claim. Scientifically, it is impossible to verify miracles, and I'll explain to you why. When it comes to the scientific paradigm, we will only deal with naturalistic effects and naturalistic causes. We will never be able to refer to anything supernatural. As scientists, we're not allowed to do that.
Right.
Therefore, the virgin birth, if I was to walk down the road and talk to a scientist, that scientist would say the virgin birth is unscientific. They would say that.
Right.
I would say...
He is blocking my beauty.
I would say the virgin birth, like the sea parting, like the miraculous creation of Adam, like many of the miracles in the Quran and the Bible, are things which cannot be scientifically verified, but logically it doesn't mean they didn't happen. So I would make a distinction between what's logically possible and what is scientifically provable.
And not just quickly. Not
So
to,
where
not,
do we disagree? That's my point.
and
Before we
then
get
here's
into
the
further.
disagreement.
Okay, sure.
So I agree.
Good.
Let me give an example to build that bridge.
Sure.
When you're talking about,
you continue.
I'm speaking as a Christian.
I need a break.
I'm speaking as a Christian with respect to two passages of scripture to build that bridge.
Wait, we're going to finish.
Okay.
In Genesis chapter 1 verse 2,
Sure.
you have the Holy Spirit hovering over the waters. The early patristics, and even that word for hover, rahab, is very rare. It only occurs 2 times in the Torah. In that verse and in Deuteronomy 32, speaking about how God can, from a formless and void condition, from an eerie wilderness condition, can incubate life, because hovering language there is to do with birds and so on, for that culture to understand. That same word in the Greek equivalent is used when Gabriel talks to Mary, saying that the Holy Spirit will hover over you to bring about that miraculous nature.
All of this is unscientific, though.
No. What I'm saying is to build this bridge, origin of life research hits a wall, so to speak, where they go into, I kid you not, Earth origins, or maybe panspermia, or directed panspermia. And I'm going as a
RNA
theist now.
world, DNA world, yeah, all of
Right,
that.
and as a theist now, let's just say hypernatural, but supernatural directed panspermia. God making the first life, say Luca, to bring about. And then evolution happens. Now, just quickly. Same thing with all the happenings, Noah's flood, the parting of the sea. Don't forget the Exodus account has wind coming specifically. It's a simultaneous supernatural and natural phenomenon. Now, I'm talking about what happened in history, so to speak. You and I can agree on those contexts, but for example, the Quran says that Moses struck the sea, but the Bible says all he did was lifted up his hand. The Quran says the Pharaoh drowned and was washed up and preserved.
Both accounts are unscientific.
No, but that's not the point.
No, but do you agree?
What actually happened in history is my point.
Okay, my friend, do you agree?
Did he strike the sea or did he raise his
Did
hand?
the staff become a serpent?
Look, firstly...
Did the staff become a serpent?
Well, both the Quran,
it did.
The Quran and the Bible says so.
Look, my problem,
I'm
Rob,
talking
is
about
this.
the differences.
Look, my problem, Rob, is this. You're trying to make it look like we're in a different boat when it comes to miracles, and it's not true. It's not true.
I'm not even talking about that.
So that's why you brought up the creation of Adam.
I'm talking about
where I would say we are different is that the Bible gets certain things historically wrong.
I just heard you. I'm saying, what was the name of the mountain?
Get this guy in as well.
Sorry.
Because he's speaking and people can't see him.
Sorry.
Yeah.
What was the name of the mountain?
Yeah, go on.
What was the name? Well, you can turn around.
We have to finish very soon.
What was the name of the mountain that Noah's Ark landed in the Quran?
Judy.
Right. The only other people group that spoke about Judy were the Syriac Christians, like Ephraim the Syrian mentions Judy. No one in the ancient Near East, not even in the Genesis account, because in the ancient Near East they call it Urartu, the Genesis account says Ararat, but specifically that Syriac connection is there in the Quran. Same thing with respect to the Pharaoh drowning. What was the name of the Pharaoh that drowned? If it's Ramses II,
we don't know.
He dies in 1213 BC.
We don't know.
But
I just said we don't know.
Wait, I'm just saying.
The Bible claims it's Ramesses.
No. He didn't drown in the Bible. Yes,
but
Ramses is mentioned in Exodus.
Yes. So Ramesses
So
the
how
second.
he wrote and Ramses, the storehouse of Ramses, and that's why Egyptologists.
Quran doesn't say Ramesses.
Well, this is my question. like when I read Ibn Kathir, he says that Gabriel swoops down, stuffs mud in his mouth because Surah 10 mentions.
That's from an Israelite. That's from an Israelite saying.
Okay. I'm not making
that
as an argument. I'm just saying this is what I've read, and I'm wanting your clarification.
Yes.
So when Egyptologists say you have a range of pharaohs from Amenhotep II, potentially to Meneptah, and interestingly, one of your commentators, Madudi, I think his name is.
Yeah.
Don't
use any commentaries. Give me an authentic.
No, I'm just saying, based on what I read from you,
Prophet,
he holds to Meneptah. So in other words, you have a range.
Yes.
We have their bodies.
Yes.
Now Maurice Bucaille says that French doctor in the 70s, apparently he found salt content and sand content in Ramses' body. That's been disputed.
Claims, yeah.
Egyptologists say that the Exodus, according to the Bible, and even outside the Bible, happens between 1275 BC and 1250 BC if it's Ramses II.
Claims.
But he dies in 1213 BC.
Can I just say?
Wait, my last point.
Yeah.
All
All
media, like cartoons like Prince of Egypt and so on, all depict the Pharaoh surviving that sea of reeds that washed the Egyptian army away. It's only the Quran that has him drowning.
Okay.
I'm saying if I was a Muslim, I would have to believe that this is Allah declaring, no human, because see, Surah 3 says this is from the unseen, Muhammad wasn't a witness. Excellent, so Allah is on the hot seat when it comes to history.
Yes.
So my question is, did that happen?
What happened? The
drowning of the Pharaoh, for example, or Malkudi for the
Okay, so can I ask you one question? Can I ask you one question? Is there anything that we know of certainty from what you've said that can categorically show the Quran is wrong in any of these accounts?
Yes.
Which one?
Exactly. The Pharaoh specifically.
How?
Which Pharaoh?
Okay.
Which Pharaoh? Quran
remember when I said that range? Amenhotep.
No,
wait. I'll answer. Remember that range? Amenhotep II to Meneptah. Meneptah is Ramses.
So you're using the range.
Why?
Wait.
Why
I'm asking.
Yes.
Okay.
But why?
But okay. Before you use a yardstick to undo the Quran, you need to first establish the authority of the yardstick.
Yes.
You're using a
that's
range.
Why I said why.
You're using a range.
I rhetorically asked why.
Rob,
yes.
please
Okay.
move with me.
Okay.
You're using a chronological range.
Yes.
Is Egyptian chronology an established fact among Egyptologists?
For that range, yes.
No, sir.
Yes.
You don't know what you're talking about.
No.
I'm
sorry.
Wait. There are monuments with dates. Yes. There are monuments with the names of pharaohs. Okay. We know the dates because in Egyptology, there are established facts because they are dated. There are dated monuments, and there are unestablished facts. And Egyptian chronology is one of those unestablished facts. Okay. People have opinions. There are Egyptologists.
But even from that perspective, I don't see the contradiction.
So he's using a yardstick that can be stretched anyway.
One second. I just want to say this, and then I need to go.
Oh, now you need to go.
Yes, I am going to go.
One second. We can't deal with 7 years old.
Rob, the reason why I find it very hard to take you seriously is you were trying to give an account of the history of Darwinism, which was incorrect. You refused to say that the Bible's corrupt, which even J. Smith said. Now I ask you a clear question, which is, do we have categorical factual evidence that the Quran can be shown to be wrong through any of these arguments?
It doesn't.
And you said yes, it can, but it cannot. So there's a problem here of me trusting you with the information that you came up with, especially the fact that all of these Christian missionaries in the park agree the Bible has been corrupted, but you're not willing to accept the Bible's corrupted. So I can't take you as a serious intellectual.
Let's test that claim. Let's test that claim. He is claiming the Bible is not corrupt. I'm going to ask him on Egyptology. I'm going to ask you a question on Egyptology.
Yeah.
The book of Genesis uses the word Pharaoh.
Yes.
And king.
Okay?
And king, yes.
Pharaoh is the problem. Yes. Forget the king. King is not an issue.
Yeah.
Pharaoh is the problem.
Yes.
The term Pharaoh in the Old Kingdom was not used for the kings of Egypt.
Yes, I know exactly
Pharaoh. Okay, wait. The Quran amazingly makes that distinction. When talking to Moses in the Middle Old Kingdom, the term Pharaoh is used for the king. When Joseph is talking to the king, almost 400, 500, 600 years before Moses, He's calling him king.
Copy the Bible.
Okay, because we are now in the Hyksos period. We are now in the Hyksos period.
No,
Okay.
I'm sorry, Hyksos is before that.
Before, yes, before Moses.
Yes.
Yes, that's the point I'm making.
Oh, sorry,
in the time of Joseph.
sorry, I thought you were in Moses'
in the time.
In the
So
time of
now
Moses, yes.
there is this chronological era. Egyptology. Egyptologists. Wait. This is an era in the Bible where Bible consistently uses the term Pharaoh in the time of Abraham, in the time of Joseph, in the time of Moses. Right? This is a clear era. Chronologically, this doesn't make sense. No Egyptian chronology supports that.
Let's go.
And the Bible is corrupt by that virtue. Okay. The Quran makes the distinction.
Even Jay Smith agreed with
We have to go.
Let's
Can
go.
you hear me out before you go, please? No, please stay.
Yeah, very. Okay, how long are you going to take?
Only like
1 minute.
30 seconds.
Go on.
Brilliant.
Go on.
The so-called anachronism you're talking about actually is important, okay? Important with respect to the Torah's composition, especially Genesis, because if you have, now notice this, this is how we can narrow down the date as to which Pharaoh you're talking about.
He's just gonna prove that the Bible is correct.
No,
Yeah, wait. What he's about to say?
I'm not, and
Yeah,
I'm
go
about
on.
to do something here as well.
Go. I want you to say.
In Genesis 47, you have in parentheses. This is like the mention of Ramses is there in Genesis 47, which obviously makes no sense in the context of Joseph.
So what are you
But
saying?
Moses is the editor, and Moses is putting together for his audience forward anachronistic statements, and that's okay. Because,
Brilliant!
wait,
Did you hear that? There is
don't-
an anachronism in the Bible.
That doesn't.
There is
allow me-
anachronism
allow me
in the
to
Bible.
finish. Allow me to finish. So, allow me to finish. So, in that context, that's important because we can narrow down which dynasty you're talking about. Amenhotep is the 18th, Ramses II is the 19th. Now, I have a book, The Exodus, an Egyptian Story by Peter Feynman. I would recommend this, again, Oxford publication, very recent, 2021 publication. All I'll do, I'll just read this paragraph here and then the conclusion of this sentence here. And you can read it with me.
Yeah, what is it?
This is literally how he starts his book.
Moses led people out of Egypt against the will of
The
Ramses.
Exodus, an Egyptian Story. And this is the latest with respect to Egyptology.
Sure.
And in fact, this is important because as a Muslim, you would want this.
Can I get a picture of the title page?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
My-
wait, let me read how he starts the book. He says, okay, here we go. Moses led people out of Egypt against the will of Ramses II. There's the range, 1279 to 1213. On the 7th hour of New Year's Eve, at the end of Ramses' 7th year, which would be 1272, he, later in the book, he argues for specific...
So he's using that chronology to claim that Moses was alive in the time of Ramses
Yes,
II.
but specifically he's saying if it's this Pharaoh, see when he dies, 1213.
Yes.
But he's saying in his 7th year, which makes it 1272.
Yeah, because
Which
he had a
means-
long reign, 70
Yes,
years. Yeah.
but if the Exodus is 1272, that means he survives the Exodus and dies in 1213, which would contradict the Quran in that context if it is Ramses. So
So you're on shaky
Wait,
ground.
no, wait,
You're now claiming it's
no.
Ramses. Yeah.
let me finish.
Yeah.
At the end of Ramses' 7th year of ruling, it is an Egyptian story. Why that time? Why that day? Why that year? Why against Ramses II? The answers to these questions are found not in the Hebrew Bible, but in Egypt. To understand what Moses did, it is necessary to place him in the Egyptian context in which he had been raised and against which he acted. The search for this understanding also is a search to understand Egypt. Typically, that is not the way the search for the Exodus is conducted. Now, he's an atheist defending the Exodus just with the lens of Egyptology.
Okay. So
And my point is, even evangelical scholars like Hofmeyr and David Falken will say Ramses II, if it's the 7th year of his reign, but he dies in 1213, so 1272 is not 1213.
but is this established?
The point is, if I was a Muslim and I read this,
Yes.
there would be a contradiction because I'd be like,
No, there isn't.
Surah 10 says,
I'm a historian.
Surah 10,
Now let me introduce
Surah
myself.
10 says he drowned.
Wait. You can play this game.
But yeah,
Rob,
he survives.
This game can be played with ignorant street Muslims. I am a qualified historian. I've been published by Cambridge University. Okay, let me tell you how history works.
This is a scholar.
Wait. Okay, so am I. I'm a published scholar.
What would he say to this?
I'm
How would he defend your intent?
Listen to him.
I'm a peer-reviewed, public, Cambridge, just
You're
Cambridge
peer-reviewed,
qualified.
public, Cambridge what?
Yeah.
What?
This guy 7 years old. He doesn't know what that means.
This
is Oxford.
You're charlatan.
This is Cambridge. This is Cambridge. This is me. Wait, let me show you. That's me. That's me. Okay.
Well done.
Wait. No. I'm
like,
this is me.
Okay.
Yeah, can you see that?
Yes.
That's me. That's the author.
Any
Okay.
idiot
Now,
can get
now,
published on Cambridge,
now.
like you.
I know how this field works.
No, you don't.
This is not established. Chronology, in particular chronology of Egypt, is not an established field. There is a lot of
That's a big claim.
there is a lot of difference
Revision,
of opinion,
induction.
a revision, and a lot of difference of opinion among
Like in Islamic history.
established
Well, you claim-
Egyptologists.
Okay.
They don't agree as to when the Exodus was.
So
If there was an Exodus, for example, first of all, most of them don't even
disagreement
accept
means that the first
Exodus. They are
established.
atheists.
Actually,
Wait.
they do
Yeah.
now. Like the case in point, that atheist scholar.
Well, okay.
You're
no problem.
using outdated scholarship,
The point
historian.
is,
Has the Bible been changed?
you cannot use
Like the Quran, yes.
something unestablished to make an established point. You get my point? You cannot be on a shaky ground and start building a house of cards.
Notice he's not even going through the Bible to defend.
So,
He's just going through Egyptology.
so just because this guy says Exodus was at the time of Ramesses II,
You guys were arguing
we don't have to
earlier
accept it.
based on the workings
He's a
of
well-renowned
one.
Egyptologist.
So, I'm a world-renowned historian.
No, you're not.
Published by
You're-
Cambridge.
Firstly,
Just quickly,
Rob,
just as I tried to build that-
Rob, before
Whether
you
you
move
like
on,
it or
one
not.
second,
Before
one
you
second,
go,
one second,
No, no,
one
you
second,
don't.
one second, Rob,
Whether
one
you
second,
like
Rob.
it or not, it's
Before
true.
you go, can
Rob.
you please explain to me how you defend Surah 10, the drowning? As
Sorry?
a historian, how
Sorry?
do you defend the drowning of Pharaoh? Because I try to
It's a-
build a
so-
bridge.
it's
Do you just believe it because the Quran says so?
100%. I believe it word by word, thought
But
by thought.
notice
I have no
okay,
qualms.
but here's a thought experiment. Notice he tried to do it without the Bible. Let's see if I can just defend it just through Egyptology, and he does.
I don't
Can
think
you do that?
I don't
The
think he was
problem-
saying what you said there.
The
Because
Christians-
even the way you read it, wait one second.
The Christians,
The way you read it there, you were reading into it.
Wow.
Yes, you were. And secondly,
Like
if
you're
we are
reading-
to take historians seriously, please be consistent. Which historian, including this one, does he believe the Bible is preserved? No, he doesn't.
That's what the argument
All
They all
historians-
believe it's corrupt.
They
Wait,
all.
wait.
So
No, no,
I-
wait.
This is a fact.
wait,
This is
wait,
a fact.
wait.
Not
No,
forget-
we let you
yes,
speak.
yes,
We let you
yes,
speak.
yes,
We let you speak.
Forget
We
an
let you speak.
Egyptologist.
Yes,
One second.
Forget an
One second.
Egyptologist.
Jay
Yes.
Smith, you were
Biblical
earlier. He
scholars.
said the Bible changed.
Biblical
So
scholars.
does he. And on top of that, he came from somebody standing with a ladder there
relax.
that believed the
Suppose-
Bible
I have a
had been
question.
changed. One
Are
second.
all Egyptologists unanimous that Ramesses II was the Pharaoh of Moses?
Yes.
Lie.
Yes,
That's a
but-
lie.
No.
That's
yes,
a lie.
Yes, where it gets
That's a
interesting.
lie.
Yes,
That's a
where
lie.
It gets interesting. You have the 5 views on the Exodus. One of their names is a person I just read, Peter Feynman. It's called The Exodus, Historicity, Chronology, and Theological Implications.
That doesn't mean anything.
The only person
So what
in
is
this
that?
list that says that the Exodus did not happen, which guess what, you disagree with him, is Ronald Handel.
So you just said there's a
But all of
consensus.
them agree
You just
with
said
the
there's a
Exodus.
So you just
consensus.
prove my point.
Of course there is.
You
A
just said.
consensus-
Just prove my
Oh,
point.
wait
You know why?
a
You know why?
second.
You know why?
Wait a second.
There's a list of 5 scholars.
Peter
One
Feynman
of them believes Exodus didn't happen. He's trying to use that against us.
In their
No.
own religion, a consensus.
He
I'm
tried
talking
to show a
about-
consensus,
I'm talking-
and he got
I'm
refuted by his own
talking about-
reference.
I'm talking about Peter Feynman that I just quoted from as part of this consortium.
Yes, no problem.
That all defend the
He
Exodus,
may be-
and one individual out of all
Rob,
of them
I'm sorry,
denied it.
history is not.
That's
So
the
there's no
point.
consensus.
Rob, history is
There
not
is.
your field.
That's
There's
the
no
thing.
All of
consensus.
them agree with Ramses as being the Pharaoh.
how
That's
ma-
the point.
Wait. How many are there? How many are there?
Ronald Handel
How
is
many
an
Egypt-
atheist
how many
that
Egypt-
says that
how
there
many
is-
Egyptologists
No,
are there?
Have you read that book? Have you read that
Yes,
book?
of
Okay,
course.
how many Egyptian chronologies are there? Okay, no, wait. We're gonna deal with this now.
There you go.
Wait. How many Egyptian chronologies are there?
What do you mean?
Wait.
You have
No, please.
You have what's
Rob,
called
answer my question.
What's called,
Answer my
I'm
question.
answering.
How many Egyptian
I'm
chronologies are
answering.
there? Yeah.
You have what's called the new chronology. You have what's called the old chronology. You even have shifting of
I hope
dynasties.
everyone's listening.
But
I hope
you know,
everyone's
no,
listening.
wait. Do you know when do you know when that happened? Do you know when that happened?
Okay, wait. Wait.
Wait, no,
Now-
I can give you the answer.
Rob.
It was. Okay, I can give you the answer.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Let me
So-
make my point. So now that Rob has already acknowledged that there are multiple chronologies, he is using one of them to make a point that the Quran is false.
No.
Wait.
Yes.
This is where I'm coming to
Rob,
defend you.
Yes. Oh, now he's changed his mind.
Okay. Rob's initial point was that the Quranic story of
If you
Exodus
go there, you're
cannot
refuting
be
the Quran
substantiated.
even more.
Wait.
I'm trying
It's
to defend
refuted.
you from
It's
that.
refuted.
Rob, please let me finish.
Well, no,
Rob,
because you wouldn't let him
Rob
finish.
was making a point earlier that the Quranic chronology,
We're gonna go
the Quranic narrative cannot be supported, through history. He had no idea that I'm a historian,
You're not a historian.
and I know how these things work.
Oh, careful
He's a
with the
scientist.
Yes, okay.
He's a scientist. Okay, I'm a historian. Now he walked into my territory, and now he wants me to listen to his principles that I've never come across
What year
before.
did Adam live,
Now,
according
And he got refuted by his own
in
source.
history, how this works is people have opinions, and those opinions are based upon their best understanding of the evidence.
Like in Islam, right?
Okay. Now, what he presented without realizing that this is an opinion of a historian.
Adnan, how do you define the word
This 7 years old is
consensus?
not going to let me talk.
Because my understanding,
This
consensus
grown
is a
7 years old is
majority
not going to
view.
let me talk.
So if
He's
you
grown
go
in.
to
He's
the
grown.
five scholars,
carry on.
and four
Okay.
of them agree.
Now,
that's
now,
a consensus.
now,
Like you say,
ladies and gentlemen.
that would be ijma. Because for you,
Ladies
for
and
ijma to be
gentlemen,
reached,
we have a
every
biological
scholar
phenomenon.
must have to agree
A
with
7
something.
years old who's
Only
over
the
6 feet
majority.
tall.
So
Can you turn the
what?
cameras there?
If you don't know
We
what
have a
a
biological,
consensus
scientific
is,
phenomenon.
then I
Carry on,
don't
carry
know.
on, carry on,
You
carry on,
answer it.
carry on.
There you go.
Okay.
A
Now,
consensus is
ladies
the
and
majority.
gentlemen,
And that's what Rob
ladies
has,
and
a consensus.
gentlemen. So Rob,
Pharaoh drowning
there
is
is
my
there
point.
is no
Zero.
there is no consensus on Egyptian
the
history.
word
There is no
consensus.
consensus.
Define that word.
Wait.
Define that word.
Only for the Bible bashers,
Define
Bible
that word.
thumpers, young
And
earth
the
creationists.
Quran
There,
and the
everything is
Blackstone
established.
kissers,
Okay.
Yes, only
Every-
they believe that Adam had
This
supposedly.
guy.
Okay,
Wait.
wait.
The
Now let
Quran
me
lickers
finish.
and the stone kissers.
Bible is full of riddles, inaccuracies, anachronisms, lies, fables. Bible. I'm gonna give a list,
Quran is full of
and this guy is gonna run
And
away,
it's
and
from God.
Rob is gonna run away as well. When I start giving lists, I'm gonna give a list now. I'm gonna give a list now.
Rob,
I'm gonna give a list
do
now.
that.
I'm gonna give a list now
No,
of-
you were asking a
of corruptions
question.
in the Bible.
What?
Number one.
Wait,
Number one.
He's run away. Wait, hold on a second.
number one.
Adnan,
Number
reset.
one.
You've run away. You haven't answered the point.
So clearly this guy thinks
Adnan,
he's failing.
go back to the point.
He thinks
He
he's
was
failing.
asking you a
That's why he's
question
interrupted. He
concerning
doesn't
what
want
happened in
to
Exodus.
talk anymore.
Why are
He
you
doesn't
running
want
away
to
to
talk
the Bible
anymore. So Rob, he's insulting.
Adnan.
Okay, now
In front of the
you're
cameras.
you have a scientist standing next to you. Bloody Jew.
Adnan, do you
so
believe
now,
I've tried on building bridges?
yes. So let's build
So
bridges.
then let's build
Let's
bridges.
build bridges
By
on
answering
Egyptology.
Rob's
Is the Bible
question.
corrupted?
Sorry?
Is the Bible corrupted?
No. Brilliant. So Bruce Metzger, they're one of the biggest scholars.
Okay.
One of the biggest.
Well,
they're not
Marine
gonna talk.
Putin
You see, you notice
is
they
currently
will not let
going
me talk.
through-
They don't want people to hear what I have to
Putin
say.
is
Bruce
currently
Metzger,
going through
look,
analyzing
they
the
are,
compilation of the
they
Quran.
are on fire.
Now, what he has
they are
found
on fire.
is that
Right?
when the Quran was being
Antiseptic.
compiled, even
This
despite
medicine
the
is
fact
burning
that
the
the
wounds.
recension occurred,
But I'm not gonna
in
stop.
the
I'm gonna
5
apply the
different
medicine.
Qurans that were made
Bruce Metzger.
and sent to the big
Bruce
cities
Metzger is a
like
scholar.
Kufa, like Basra, and
Carry on,
Medina,
They
those
can-
Qurans
Go on, carry on.
contain
What does Bruce
spelling
Metzger
mistakes.
say?
Okay, he just wants to finish.
Bruce Metzger.
Bruce Metzger
Quran already
is
was corrupted.
was
Now,
a
additionally,
believing Christian.
the
He
lack
died a
of
Christian.
the
He
seven
authored a
roots
book
within
titled
the Islamic
The
context
Text
today,
of the New
that
Testament.
means that
Its
the
reception,
Quran was corrupted
corruption,
around
and
the time
restoration. He doesn't want to
of
hear.
the,
These people
of
are so
reception.
blind
If there was
that they
seven
do
roots,
not want to hear
But
scientific
Exodus.
facts. Right. So, Bruce, I'll talk to you now.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Exodus.
Okay.
Exodus.
Bruce Metzger.
No,
Yes.
that's
Who was even
Who are you, man? I'm not talking to you.
Bruce
Man, he's talking to you.
Metzger was evangelical to his death.
Move the camera. I don't want this guy here.
I ain't leaving.
Can you take your camera or you're going to walk away from you? We're going to walk away from you.
You're gonna
Because
walk.
he's making
So
noise.
you're running away.
He's making noise.
So-
Yeah, he's making noise. Bruce
I want
Metzger.
him to talk
Bruce
to the
Metzger.
Exodus.
Yeah, we're going to come.
Only
No,
Exodus.
I will.
And I'm taking your
Because corruption of the Bible is going to burn them alive spiritually,
Corruption
right? That's
of
going to
the
be
Quran
that's going to be
is
witch
gonna-
burning. That's going to be a live
We're
witch
talking
burning.
about Egyptian chronology
No,
for a
if he
moment.
talks, if he
Adnan,
makes noise, I'm going to walk away.
Chronology.
Because he doesn't want me to
Dave,
talk.
wait 1 sec.
Yeah.
Dave,
Okay, wait.
One sec, Dave.
I'm making a point.
Let me
I-
repeat my
wait,
question
wait.
again. Can I repeat
No,
my question again?
wait, you can't.
No,
I have to finish. I have to finish. I have to finish.
No, but not on the
I have
Bruce
to
Metzger
finish.
point.
I have to finish. You made a point about corruption. I am
me.
giving you
Not me.
I am
Never
giving you
mentioned
Christian
corruption. That's a
authorities.
lie.
They don't want to hear the names.
Rob
They
never
don't want to hear the
mentioned
names.
that word. That's a lie.
Okay, now Rob, I'm talking to you. If he makes noise, I'm going to walk away. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So-
now wait.
Egypt.
No, Rob.
Egypt.
We're going to come to Egypt. We have been to Egypt. We're going to go back to Egypt soon. No problem. We're going to go through all of
We can
Egypt.
even write
We're
down
going to go from Cairo to
Adnan,
Aswan.
Adnan.
Wait.
We can even take this
Wait.
to the museum,
Rob,
and we can have an
Rob,
Egyptian tour.
why are you so fidgety now? Wait.
I'm not.
Okay.
You're the one moving
Corruption.
around. Not him.
The Christian,
literally
the
bouncing
biggest,
side to side.
the biggest Christian authorities in the world who have actually systematically studied the text of the Bible, okay, in particular the New Testament, have said that the Bible, the text of the New Testament is corrupted beyond repair, irreversibly corrupted. The text of the New Testament, corrupted. Well, I have to put ra in there so that the emphasis is pronounced. Okay, he doesn't like it; it's burning him. He's
You're
dying
running away
now.
from
He's
the
dying
Exodus
now.
because
Okay,
it's burning you.
because he's
The
crying.
Exodus
He's crying.
showcases
He's not
that
gonna
your
listen.
entire tradition
He doesn't
is a
want to
lie,
hear.
and that Allah does
Okay,
no history.
okay, done. We're done. He's
All
making
right,
noise.
wait,
He doesn't want us
wait,
to.
wait.
So the book's name is Bruce Metzger. Okay, Google the book so that we can show a picture as well, so that people can easily find
Show a
it.
picture. What about
Published
the
by
content?
Cambridge University
What does chapter
Press.
one say?
Cambridge, not missionary and their seminaries and their publications, all propaganda, all lies. Okay, never believe a book published by a Christian seminary.
believe what a
Never,
book says.
never. They are bigots. They will never speak. They will ignore all scientific consensus. They will ignore all historic consensuses, and they will come up with their own theories. And they'll pick and choose. Bruce Metzger, corruption of the Bible. Very easy. Google Bruce Metzger, corruption of the New Testament. Yeah, there you go. The name of the book here, everyone, so that now
What does the concept say?
the book title. The title of the book.
But not the concept.
Okay. Contents come later. The title.
What does it say?
The text of the New Testament. Its transmission, corruption, and restoration. So, what Bruce Metzger is saying in the title, this is a history of the transmission of the New Testament, its corruption, and its restoration.
All right.
So now, this is the greatest New Testament authority on the planet who died recently. He died recently, okay? Bruce Metzger, Cambridge University Press. This book is published by Cambridge University. So, according to the biggest scholar of the New Testament history, the text of the New Testament was corrupted. And now we are trying to restore it. That's the point.
All right.
Okay, over. Game over. Game over.
So I'm going to make a quick comment on that topic, but I want to stick with Egypt. So
why is he quiet now?
All right.
Why is he quiet now?
So I have.
What happened to him?
Adnan,
Is he-
Adnan, I wasn't.
He's in a state of shock now.
Adnan.
He's in a state of
Adnan,
shock.
Let me respond.
Did you see him brave earlier? You see? This same guy.
Adnan,
Same guy. Same guy.
Adnan, let me respond. Let me respond, Adnan.
He has been neutralized.
Okay.
He has been neutralized.
Oh, yeah, okay. So, I'm sorry, but that was quote mining, and we have a book dedicated to responding to claims like this.
What
Just-
claims? What claims?
Your misuse of Metzger, for example,
How?
about so-called corruption and so on. Let me finish.
What's Metzger's view?
The book that I'm referring to is called Myths and Mistakes in New Testament Textual Criticism. All right?
Who's authored it?
Elijah Hickson. It's edited by Elijah Hickson and Peter Gurry. They work.
Who published it?
They work.
Who published it? Publisher,
Forward
please.
by Daniel B. Wallace, and the publisher is IVP.
Okay.
No, let me respond.
No.
Let me
A bunch of
respond.
missionaries.
Let me
Daniel.
respond.
Okay, wait.
Let
A
me
bunch of
respond.
missionaries
No,
are responding to an
let me-
established
Adnan,
Cambridge University scholar.
Adnan. So,
That's why you can never trust missionaries. They will ignore all history,
What
all
Adnan is
consensus,
doing is a
all
fallacy
scholarship.
for poisoning the world.
why don't you let him speak?
That's not valid.
All right. So, we have a scholar by the name of Stephen Neal, over 50 years ago, that Bruce Metzger was friends with, that said, quote, "The very worst Greek manuscript now in existence contains enough of the gospel in unadulterated form, hence not corrupted, to lead the reader into the way of salvation," unquote. That's, ironically, the context of textual criticism. Now, with respect to Egypt,
Okay.
what is the...
Can I? No.
I'm sorry.
We'll get to
I'm
Egypt.
sorry.
I want to respond to that very
I'm
quickly.
sorry.
Very quickly.
Then get to Egypt about the chronology.
Yeah, we're going to get to Egypt
Okay.
now. So he just read a quote from a missionary.
No, Stephen Neal is not a missionary.
There are
50 years ago, it was Bruce Metzger.
there are Trinitarian scholars who are missionaries and as well as scholars. I'm not denying that. Okay. Now, one of them was Bruce Metzger. Bruce Metzger, responding to this directly, what he read there, Bruce Metzger published an edited text of the New Testament in the Greek language, what we call Nestle and Aland. Okay. Bruce Metzger writes in the preface on page 11 that all 5,300 Greek, now 6,000, the number has increased. And the more the number is increased, the more the riddle is increased in the case of New Testament manuscripts. He writes, and I quote, "All biblical New Testament manuscripts of the New Testament, not any two of them are similar in all the particulars." Okay, faced with all these contradicting readings, I'm quoting word by word. Faced with all these contradicting readings, editors must decide which reading may be put in the content and which may be relegated to the apparatus. And a set of probabilities is used to reach an original reading. This is what Bruce Metzger, which was the greatest blow to any integrity left for the text of the New Testament. Why? What is he saying? Editors must use a set of probabilities to judge what may be the original reading, because the originals are completely lost and no two manuscripts of the New Testament are exactly the same. So which one is real now? The question is, the editors are facing a problem. Which one is actually the original reading? So they come together in the US, in Germany, in Britain, wherever. They decide which may be the original and they put it down in their Greek New Testaments. So Bruce Metzger, those who know the field, they know this well. I've had debates, Rob, with your PhD doctors, like Dr. James White. I have a debate on YouTube over 2 hours long on this very topic. Go and watch it.
How am I doing?
Sorry? You're doing very bad. I'm sorry. You're doing very bad. You are nowhere near scholarly as that guy, because in that debate, James White, who has a PhD in theology, he agreed that the Gospel of John, pericope adulterae, the story of the adulteress, was not written by John. It was put down later on. He agreed.
Okay, so...
He agreed.
So let's...
So,
wait,
it's corrupted.
Okay. I've allowed you
It's corrupted.
I've allowed you
Yes.
to speak.
Yes.
So here, in this context, let's bridge it to the Exodus. In this context, let's say the Exodus is false.
No, I'm not saying that.
No, I meant the book. Let's say, transferring New Testament textual criticism, obviously there's Old Testament textual criticism. Now let's just say that the book of Exodus can't be trustworthy. Ironically, scholars like Peter Feynman are doing precisely that, in the sense that let's not use the biblical book, let's just use Egyptology. Egyptology then says the Pharaoh did not drown. The Quran says the Pharaoh drowned. as a historian, what would be your response to someone like Peter Feynman?
Very good, very good. As a historian, I will respond to this scholar as follows. I will say that your opinion is based upon assumptions, okay, deductions, and extrapolations from Egyptological evidence and biblical evidence. You're trying to make sense of. Wait.
Remember,
Okay.
I just said
But
yeah.
the term Exodus is not mentioned anywhere in Egyptology. It's a biblical term. So he's using a biblical concept to read Egyptology into it. Okay, wait. So I would disagree. I would say, first of all, there is no consensus as to when and where and with who the Exodus took place. The chronology of Egypt is highly disputed. It's a very contentious area. To use the chronology of Egypt to make a point against the Quran, you are on shaky grounds from the very start. From the get-go, you are on shaky grounds.
Okay.
Egyptology and its chronology is not an established field.
Okay.
Only dated monuments are established.
Okay.
Where the dates are there, where the names of pharaohs are there.
Okay.
They are established. No questions there.
Wait. Okay.
Yeah.
So here, this is very important now. Okay.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is me building a bridge now. When you're talking about shifting chronologies, imagine timeline A, timeline B, and they're doing the shift.
Yes.
In fact, that Christian documentary called Patterns of Evidence goes along with that.
I don't take anything from Christians.
No, I'm just saying.
Nothing from missionaries.
saying-
Missionaries are
I'm just
liars.
saying-
They have been liars even scholars are
I'm
liars.
just saying they bring up that to introduce to Christians who may not be aware about this chronological argument of Egyptology. The point is, it's an old, outdated
Rob,
model.
it-
Wait, let me
Rob,
finish. Let me
yeah.
finish.
Yeah.
The point that you're not understanding, and I'm not saying that derogatively, is that even if you shift the timeline, so for example, his timeline is the chronological timeline for Ramses for him is 1279 to 1213. Say if you shift that into the 1300s, the point is it's that same pharaoh in the 1300s. All you've done is you've shifted all the pharaohs forward and backward, but it's the same pharaoh of the period. The point then is, where is Moses in that scale? Is he with Amenhotep II all the way to Meneptah? And in between would be
You just
Ramses
argue my
II.
point for me, yeah.
But you're only stuck within that range of pharaohs.
Not necessarily.
So what? He could be before Amenhotep.
We don't know.
He could be with Akhenaten.
We can never know. We can never
Then
know.
How do you know he drowned?
Quran.
There we go. Quran.
Yes. And on that note, thank you very much talking to you. We have to go now. Thank you, Rob. Nice talking to you. No hard feelings. Ignore all the passion and all the noise. Which mics are yours?
I don't know. Is that
Mics.
Oh,
Guys.
people, Adnan Rashid is running away. When you come to the Quran,
Thanks,
this
Adnan.
quasi-historian and his quasi-scientific
get biryani
body
sometime.
run away. Adnan, you're a clown with that straw hat. Suboor, Allah save your hairline.
We're not going to cow. What are you talking
I
about?
don't like men, so you don't care about my hairline.
Your straw hat, nor do I like your...
Hey, what are you doing?
I'm going to try to be.
Oh, who's this?
Bro,
Yeah, then.
so traditionally,
Hey,
wait,
I'm your, help me out.
so Rob,